Frank's just called to see you.
Really, Ben?
Yes.
Oh, what a pleasant surprise.
Evening, Albert.
Hello, Ben. Will you join me in a glass of sherry?
Oh, yes, thank you very much.
What about you, Florence?
Well, I really ought to get on with the cooking, dear.
Well, that's all right. This is cooking sherry.
Oh, Albert, really? Anyway, I expect you both want to talk about Skittles.
No, I'm afraid I'm not here as Secretary of the Black Lion Skittles Club. This is something much more important.
Oh, there can't be anything more important than Skittles, surely.
I have here a summons from the Mayor and Aldermen of the Borough Council.
For me?
Yes, for you and Mrs. Haddock.
What?
Instructing you both to attend an extraordinary general meeting of the Council next Wednesday at 11 o'clock in the forenoon.
Oh, Albert, dear, what have you done?
Well, nothing that I'm aware of.
Well, you must have, dear. Otherwise they wouldn't summon you, especially in the forenoon.
Oh, no, this has got nothing at all to do with the law or even the police, although I'm dashed if I do know what they want.
Well, I know. I'm afraid I wrote it.
Well, what is it, then?
Well, you are to attend an extraordinary general meeting of the Council next Wednesday, when you will be made a freeman of the borough.
Really?
Albert, isn't that nice of them? Why?
Well, in recognition of his writings and all the other activities that have made the borough one of the sightseeing centres of the metropolis.
You know, he's absolutely right. That's what it says here. I am a freeman of the borough.
Oh, no, not quite yet. No, you've got to be presented with the casket first.
Casket?
Yeah. Oh, you've got to have a casket.
Sounds very macabre. What's it for?
Well, it contains the illuminated address.
Oh.
All the dates, all the signatures. Yeah. All that's got to be specially done, you know. Yeah, on vellum.
On vellum? Oh, Albert, fancy, just think of that.
Yes, I am thinking. I'm thinking of a lot of other things too, you know. This calls for a celebration.
Oh, well, don't you think we ought to wait until after the ceremony?
No, we can have another one then. Now, come on, Florence. You go and get that bottle of champagne I was keeping for a special occasion.
You drank it, dear.
Don't be silly. Of course I didn't. We haven't had a special occasion.
Well, I know, dear, but you were so upset on Decimal Day you drank the whole bottle.
Oh, yes. Yes, of course, I remember now. Well, I'm sure we've got something equally as nice. Yes, now, how would you like a nice glass of Vichy water?
Oh, well, if you don't mind, I'd rather have a beer if you've got any.
Well, I've got a can of this gassy stuff. I don't know if we can dignify it with the name of beer. Oh, dear.
What does it mean, being a freeman?
Well, it means I don't have to pay rates, for one thing. Ooh. And, of course, I can park my car wherever I want to. Within the borough, of course.
No,
and
I don't
then I can take books from the public library.
You do that already, dear.
No, dear, I borrow them. And then, of course, I have to pay fines when I don't take them back. But now, of course, everything is free. And I can always take cuttings from the shrubs in the parks.
Oh, Albert likes his little joke, doesn't he?
Joke? Who's joking? Your very good health, Ben. You know, this is the best bit of news we've had for years. And, of course, you realise that as a freeman of the borough, I'm not bound by licensing law.
Oh, no, I think you're
right. I can drink all day at the Black Lion if I want to. And all night, too. Well, goodbye, Florence. I won't be seeing much of you from now on. Hello, Constable.
Is this your car, sir?
Well, I've always imagined so. Why, is there some doubt about it?
Not as far as I'm concerned, sir.
Then why did you ask? Has some other person laid claim to it?
Hardly like the same view of what I'm doing, is there?
Oh? What are you doing?
Now, I shall have to ask you to accept this notification of a fixed penalty of £2, sir.
Oh, you see, I am a freeman of the borough.
Bet the mayor wouldn't agree with you on that, sir.
Oh? Are you a betting man, Constable?
Well, no, sir. Not a newty, no, sir.
Oh, pity. I was willing to give you 10 to 1 against a conviction.
Well, I might risk a quid on that, sir.
No, I couldn't take your money. Say, 5 new pence.
50 to me, sir.
If you win.
I shall win, sir. I only bet on certainty, sir.
I'm sorry, dear. I hope you haven't been waiting long.
No, not at all, my dear. I've been having a very interesting chat with Police Constable Boot. In fact, we made a bet.
Oh, Albert, you promised to give up gambling.
Who said anything about gambling? I only bet on certainties.
That'll be quite all right now, gentlemen.
All right, that's much for you.
Lovely.
I'll never forget the look on Constable Boots' face when he said, "I propose to dismiss this case. It should never have been brought." He couldn't believe his ears. And I'm going to award damages to the defendant, Mr. Albert.
Oh, that wasn't much good, was it?
No, not very good.
There we are.
Well, there we are. Sit.
Yes, you know, I thought I was adding insult to injury when I went to collect my winnings from him.
What winnings?
Well, you see, I had a little bet with him on the outcome of the case. He lost, of course.
Of course. He should have had more sense than to try conclusions with you about the law.
Well,
Oh, by the way, this...
would you like to do that?
Yeah, sure. This lark about being a freeman. I think it's a jolly good idea. What do you have to do to be one?
Oh, well, you've got to deserve it, you know, Fred.
Are we
You've got to
ready?
be worthy of it like Albert is.
Oh, and then you can do what you like. Oh, there we are.
Well, within reason, of course, and, of course, within the borough. Now, how many do I need to win?
25, sir.
I don't think you'll do it.
Oh, it makes
on.
it more difficult.
Have a go. Very
Oh,
good, very good, Albert. Very
We lost
good.
We seem to be rather a fool, right?
Arthur,
Yes, Mr. Hatter.
set him up again, will you?
I'm sorry, it's past time.
Well, it doesn't matter.
I've got to think about my license. We've had that boot looking in here a couple of times already.
He's a bit spiteful, that one. Now, having missed out on the parking, he'll see if he can get somebody on drinking after hours.
When I've washed up, you can all have one on me as my guest.
Yes, you'll get to that
Thank you very
stage.
much.
Don't be too long, will you, Arthur? Now, we've got a thirsty discussion ahead of us. Come along, gentlemen, to business.
That's right.
There we are.
Here, Albert, it's
Come
your
along,
turn.
Eugenie. Now, thank you.
Oh, very good.
Right. Now, the first item on the agenda, Mr. President, is new members.
Yeah, well, I've always said that we'd get more young members if we was to do something for the ladies.
That's something, huh?
Yes,
Are you
well,
ready 20 minutes after drinking up time?
Well, so what? Nobody's drinking.
Well, you are on licensed premises, aren't you, after closing time? That is against the law, unless, of course, you're all freemen of the borough and you can do as you like.
Now, that is an unworthy sally, Constable. Arthur can keep his premises open as long as he likes. The one thing he is not allowed to do is to supply beer, wines, or spirits, except within the permitted licensing hours.
If you're not here to drink beer, wines and spirits, what are you here for?
We're having a committee meeting of the Black Lion Skittle Club.
Don't let's keep you from your duties, Constable.
Well, don't let me catch you at it again, that's all.
He does try, doesn't he?
Good job he didn't look behind the bar.
Well done,
I've got your
Arthur.
usual gentlemen.
I say there's no
Splendid.
chance of him coming back, is there?
Well, if he does, just remember, you're my guest.
All right, thanks
How
very
very
much.
kind of you.
God bless.
Well,
Yeah,
your
to you.
very good health. Arthur.
Cheers.
God bless you.
Ah!
Constable, I do wish you wouldn't do that. You made me jump.
That's your guilty conscience, Mr. Attic.
Nothing of the sort. I've got nothing to be guilty about.
Are you consuming alcoholic refreshment outside the prescribed hours, sir?
Well, you'd better taste it and see. Oh, what a pity. What a pity. I've just realized that police constables, when they are on duty, are not allowed to imbibe alcoholic liquor. What a great pity.
What, in the execution of that duty, sir? That's a different matter.
Well, you satisfied?
Not quite.
Well, now that you've absorbed the evidence, what are your conclusions? Is that or is not that not alcohol?
It is, and I must ask you to return that refreshment unconsumed to the licensee.
Arthur, can I have another one?
Yes, coming up. Are you trifling with the law, Mr.
No,
Harris?
no. You see, a licensee is perfectly able to entertain his guests at his own expense at any time.
Only if the guests are bona fide. I mean, a customer can't be changed into a friend just to get round the licensing act.
Are you suggesting that these gentlemen and myself are not bona fide?
I never saw anybody less bona fide in all my life.
Yeah, watch it, Constable. Anyway, you're forgetting. Mr. Haddock has just been made a freeman of the borough.
Yes, we know all about that. It got him off the parking offence, but it won't work now. I mean, the Licensing Act, that's the law of the land.
Oh, no, you're quite wrong there. You see, permitted hours are determined by the licensing justices. Isn't that right, Arthur?
Quite right, Mr. Haddock, and here's your refill.
Very kind of you. Now, tell me, you must let me pay you for this.
But you're my guest.
No. These two gentlemen are your guests. I am a freeman of the borough, and as such I am free of all restrictions. There we are.
Thank you.
Well, now, tell me, officer, what are you going to do about it? Oh, no, you're not this time.
Lord, I appear in this case with the police authorities and with the Council of London Borough of Hammersmith. Both my clients are dissatisfied with the local justices and have exercised their right to appeal by case stated. A number of points of law to this honourable court.
And you realise, Joshua, that owing to the illness of the Lord Chief Justice, my brother Shrimp and I are sitting without him, but still as a divisional court, you understand. Now, I also understand that you wish, contrary to normal practice, that certain witnesses should be heard again.
Yes,
is that right?
that is so, my lord. And I have, of course, the consent of this departure from practice from Mr. Haddock, the prisoner.
You mean the accused, don't you?
Well, the accused in both cases and was acquitted in both of them, but if you have no objection, my lord.
No objection at all. And, at least, have we? Ipsos custodi. Yes. No objection. Mr. Haddock, have you any objection?
No, my lord. The prosecution did very badly in the magistrates' court. I don't suppose they're going to do any better here.
My lord, in the first case, the accused was prosecuted by the police for illegal parking. In the second, he was charged with consuming alcoholic refreshments on licensed premises outside permitted hours. And in both cases, the defence, the extraordinary defence, in fact, I might even say the frivolous defence.
Frivolous? Nonsense. It was very serious and successful, too. Oh, I beg your lordship's pardon.
I repeat, my lord, the almost frivolous defence put forward by the accused was that being a freeman of the borough, the laws concerned did not bind him. Well, I will now call my first witness, Mr. Benjamin Plush. Now, Mr. Plush, you are the clerk of the council which recently saw fit to make Mr. Haddock a freeman.
Yes, sir, that's right.
Yes, would you please tell his lordship, sir, what the council meant by freeman?
Well, the full expression, my lords, is honorary freeman.
I see, so then the term is not meant to be taken at its face value.
No, sir, I'm afraid that was not the council's intention.
And did the defendant try to take advantage of his honorary position?
Well, I think that he misunderstood it, sir.
No, he didn't.
I think you did, Albert.
Look, will you...
No, Ben, no, I didn't. I assure you.
Will you please answer my question?
Yes, well, he did borrow books from the municipal library and refused to return them.
Is there anything else?
Yes, sir, he bathed in the municipal baths and not only refused to pay the fee, but demanded free towels to dry himself with.
I see. Go on, Mr. Plush.
Well, then there was a little trouble with the deck chairs in the parks.
What do you mean, he refused to pay for them?
Well, his usual practice was to sit on one, put his feet on another, and his books on a third. In that way, so he ran up a bill for £1.75 newpence during the first week in June.
With respect, the appellant has brought into the court a strange piece of furniture, which I must say I find rather cramping in these crowded circumstances.
Yes, I've been wondering about that matter. What is that thing there?
Well, now, my lords, now this is in fact the casket that was presented to me by the mayor and the council of the borough of Hammersmith when they installed me as freeman of the borough. I thought perhaps your lordship might like to see it.
No, Mr. Haddock, put it down. I ordered put it down at once. Heavens, man, you don't know your own weakness. Now, Mr. Haddock, what exactly is its purpose?
Well, normally, my lord, I use it to keep things in, you know, pipes and a spare pair of spectacles and so on. But of course, today I have it for my papers on this case.
The Acts of Parliament.
Yes, exactly, my lord, that sort of... Oh, no, those are my football coupons. Yes, you see. Now, here is the Licensing Act of 1961.
Very well, Mr. Haddock, I'll take your word for it. All this seems very reasonable, Sir Joshua. Do you think if you just squeezed up the court a little bit, you could allow Mr. Haddock a little more room? Could you do that?
Your lordship, please.
That's very courteous of you. Thank you, Sir Joshua. All right now, Mr. Haddock.
Yes, much more comfortable, thank you, my lord. Now, Mr. Plush, do you know what... excuse me. Do you know what this is?
No.
No? Oh, no, that's the minutes of the committee meeting of the Black Line Skittles Club. Now this, here we have, now, you know what this is?
Oh, yes. Now, that is the scroll containing the details of your honorary freemanship.
Yes, exactly. And this here is, in fact, a printed copy of the speech of welcome and congratulations made by His Worship the Mayor at my installation. Would you be kind enough to read it to His Lordship?
Really, my lord, now, is this necessary?
Wait a minute, Mr. Haddock, how long was the Mayor's speech?
1 hour, 37 and a half minutes.
Mr. Haddock. Well, I wonder, Mr. Haddock, would you object if the witness just read, let us say, one little relevant paragraph?
Not at all, my lord.
All right, Sir Joshua?
Oh, with pleasure, my lord.
As a matter of fact, I did anticipate that possibility, my lord, and I took the precaution of marking the relevant passage in red ink. If you would just turn to page 15, I think it is, and would you read it to His Lordship's?
Oh, yes. The council unanimously resolved to bestow the freedom of the borough upon Mr. Albert Haddock, and I ask him to come forward with his lady and receive this casket as a permanent expression of the council's and citizens' goodwill.
Nowhere did he mention me being an honorary freeman.
Well, not in his
and
worship's speech, Albert.
I was made a freeman for all time.
My lord, it is honorary freeman.
Yes, but not in the mayor's speech, it isn't. I was entitled to suppose that the mayor meant what he said, and I merely acted on that supposition. Thank you, Ben. Mr. Plush.
My lord, the first of the two cases stated for your lordship's consideration concerns the matter of illegal parking of Mr. Haddock's car. I will now call Constable Booth. Now then, when this case came up before His Majesty, what happened?
It got dismissed, didn't it?
Look, I'm asking you.
I've just told you, haven't I?
Look, you mustn't ask me questions.
Oh,
that's my job.
I'm sorry.
All right. Now, did you think the case might be dismissed?
Well, of course I didn't. It was an open and shut case of illegal parking, sir. Couldn't go wrong, could it?
But it did, didn't it? Why was that, you think?
Well, Mr. Haddock said that as a freeman of the borough, he could park his car wherever he liked.
I see. And what did the magistrate say to that?
The mayor it was, sir. And he said that if an obstruction had been caused, Mr. Haddock, as a freeman of the borough, was entitled to cause it.
Well, obviously, my lord, the police found that this decision was incorrect in law, and I do hope you'll agree.
Thank you, Sir Joshua. Mr. Haddock?
My lord, I have no questions to put to Constable Booth. I have already been found not guilty on this charge once, and I have every confidence in your lordship's judgment second time round.
Don't go, Constable. My lord, we now come to the more serious of the two charges. It's become notorious as the Black Lion affair. Now, Constable Booth, would you please tell His Lordship what happened on the evening of the 4th of April last?
Well, I was on duty, my lord, wasn't I?
Mm-hmm.
And I had to pass the Black Lion public house, didn't I?
Yeah, and what time is that?
11:30 p.m., sir.
And what time do public houses in your area have to close?
11 p.m., sir.
I see. So this was well after the statutory drinking up time, yes?
20 minutes after, sir.
Yes, that's right. And what did you find?
Well, I found the defendant, Mr. Haddock, imbibing intoxicating liquors with several of his cronies.
And what did you do?
Well, what did I do? Well, I told him, didn't I? I mean, in the execution of my duty.
And what did the defendant do?
He ordered another drink, sir.
I see.
Well, I had to, didn't I? You drank the first one.
So really what you're saying is that the defendant ordered, paid for, and consumed intoxicating liquor in your presence, and that this occurred outside permitted licensing hours on licensed premises, yes?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
If it will save the court's time, I do not deny any of Police Constable Booth's evidence. The point I'm making is this, that surely the mayor and the alderman of the borough of Hammersmith would not perform a ceremony which in law was totally meaningless. I maintain that a freeman, having been made free with such pomp and ceremony and emotion, must somehow be freer than a person who is not a freeman.
I like that, Mr. Haddock. And thank you for the first little glimmer of light for His Lordship and myself. And I see you make some distinction, do you, Mr. Haddock, between a free man and, let us say, a lesser mortal?
Yes, my lord, indeed I do. But of course only within their own borough.
I see. Now that is really interesting. Would my learned brother like to speak first about this? Good. Thank you, Brother Shrimp, and I assure you that I am as anxious as counsel to hear you express your views.
I will do so, but after you, Brother Swallow.
After me, oh dear. Then yes, I suppose it will save time in the end. Now, we have a number of points before us. The first were minor infractions of borough regulations which the authorities did not take seriously, and I, or rather we, heartily agree with them.
De minimis non curat lex.
Yes, thank you, precisely. Now, turning to more important matters, we were asked to decide, as a matter of law, whether Mr. Haddock was entitled to obstruct the traffic in the High Street with his motor car. However, since the justices in the law court found, as a matter of fact, that there was no obstruction, I don't see that any legal point arises. Agree?
Felices tale templies causi rapta. Tenit copula nicolae, votos querio moni suprema.
Very, very good. Very, very good indeed.
Titius solvit
Thank you. A very sobering thought, In fact, I couldn't have expressed it better myself. However, when we come to the licensing laws, Mr. Haddock, which are not local in character, well, it follows that a freeman is not entitled to ignore them, and I must therefore regrettably find that in this particular case, in this matter
with
of law,
respect, my lord.
Mr. Haddock, you should know better than to interrupt at this point.
I'm extremely sorry, my lord, but I do have a point of law I would like to put.
Did you say a point of law?
Yes, my lord, a point of law.
No, my lord, I do object. It is far too late to start putting points of law.
Wait a minute. Joshua, we can't just brush aside a point of law. I take it that it is, in actuality, a point of law, Mr. Haddock.
Yes, my lord, I certainly do have a point.
Well, I wonder, what did my learned brother think about all this? Can you help us? Can you help us?
Of course, I'm willing to help it. Please follow after lunch.
There is that time already. Very well then, Mr. Haddock, we'll deal with your point of law after lunch.
You can't win all the time, Albert.
I know, but I can't get over old Swallow letting me down like that.
No, I think he was very fair, dear.
No, it isn't a question of being fair, Florence. It's a question of interpreting the law.
Well, have another corned beef sandwich.
No, I couldn't. It would stick in my throat. You know, he's always been so reliable up to now. Perhaps he's getting past it.
Dear, this coffee's not very nice, is it?
Beastly muck, isn't it?
Ooh.
I bet they're doing all right.
Ooh.
Old Shrimp and Swallow. They'll be having their cutlets and claret now.
Well, perhaps they're having sandwiches sent in, dear, like these.
No, don't be ridiculous. No, judges always have cutlets and claret for lunch. Oh, it's a tradition. Except, of course, in the old days when they were sentencing someone to death, then they had steak and burgundy.
Can't keep your mind off food for a little minute.
And, of course, in cases of rape, it was always oysters and Guinness.
Oh, dear, what about that point of law that you were going to bring up just before we adjourned?
Well, that's it, you see, that's it. I haven't got one.
Haven't got one, but you said...
Well, I had to say something, didn't I, to stop him putting the shutters up?
Oh.
Besides, if you look hard enough, there is always a point of law somewhere. Licensing Act, Road Traffic Act, Finance Act. Why on earth did I bring the Finance Act?
You know, I do that sort of thing, dear, only the other way round. It's always the same every time. I leave something out and then I find I want it, like sunglasses.
Stop.
Why?
Say that again.
What?
The last thing you said.
Sunglasses.
No, before that.
If I leave it out, I want it?
No.
Oh, dear. Well, I can't remember,
Well,
dear.
you said something about it's the same every time. But you see, it isn't.
Isn't it?
Well, not now, it isn't.
Oh.
Do you know, I think you said something very clever, Florence.
Oh, have I?
Now, if we hurry about this, we may still be all right. Did you notice that little shop on the corner, the one marked H.M. Stationery?
Yes.
Well, look, I want you to go round there and get me 2 copies of that, if you will, and if you can get back to me with them as quickly as you can before Shrimp and Swallow have finished swilling their claret, we may be home and dry.
All right, dear.
Oh, that's for you, dear.
Oh.
And, my lords, I maintain, I always have maintained, and I will continue to maintain, that a public house can remain open at all times.
My lord, the defendant is wasting time.
No, with respect, my lords, I am merely stressing the point that I cannot merely be charged with being on a licensed premises. That in itself is not a crime.
No, we agreed on that, Mr. Haddock.
Yes, indeed, my lord. You see, the gravamen of the charge is that I was, in fact, consuming alcoholic liquor outside the permitted hours.
Mr. Haddock, I've already ruled that you were not entitled to ignore the licensing laws simply because you are a freeman.
Quite so, my lord. Yes, you did rule that, and a very nice ruling it was, I do admit. But you see, the fact is... yes, quite. Now, the point I had to make was quite different. Usher, would you mind? Now, my lords, I would ask you to look at 16 and 17, Elizabeth II, cap 45. It is the British Standard Time Act, my lords, and I submit that it is quite clear from the wording of this act that the hours which apply to the licensing laws must still be Greenwich Mean Time, and that the alleged offence which occurred at 11:30 British Standard Time was in fact within the law, occurring as it did at 10:30 Greenwich Mean Time.
This is preposterous.
My lord, may I ask you to look at section 1, subsection 1? Now it does say there that for general purposes in the United Kingdom, the British Standard Time shall be 1 hour in advance of Greenwich Mean Time.
Well, exactly, my lord.
For general purposes, mark you, not special purposes for getting up, going to work, going to bed, general purposes. But I ask you, my lord, is the drinking of alcoholic liquor a general purpose? Or is it perhaps a special purpose?
Yes. I'm beginning to like your argument more and more, Mr. Haddock. I'd never myself thought of the distinction between general purposes and special purposes. What does my brother Shrimp think about this?
Yes and no.
That doesn't get us much further, does it? Sir Joshua, can you help the court?
Well, surely, my lord, whatever Parliament says is what Parliament means.
Oh, my goodness, Sir Joshua, if Parliament ever found a way of saying exactly what it meant, then lawyers like yourself would not find their profession nearly so lucrative. No, I'm beginning to think there is something in Mr. Haddock's concept of special purposes as opposed to general purposes. So now I'm giving you the chance, Sir Joshua, on this one occasion at least, try and justify your fee by helping the court.
Well, Lord, I'm afraid I find myself completely speechless. I mean, have you considered the consequences if you do accept this argument?
Sir Joshua, the purpose of this court is simply to interpret and adhere to the law.
But law?
If, I repeat, if a decision of mine is wrong, then it can be corrected in the House of Lords. And if their decisions still don't find agreement, well, Parliament will just have to enact new laws.
Well, but this would take a considerable time, my lord.
Well, I should hope it would. Good heavens. If a decision of mine is to be reversed rather than revered, then I agree, the process does call for very, very lengthy consideration. Indeed, even I might well shrink from the responsibility. Anyway, I'm not saying that Parliament cared or even intended that we should enjoy an extra hour of drinking time, because that might be construed as an encouragement to have fun. And, well, there is simply no mention of fun in any act of Parliament. And for that reason alone, I've come to the conclusion that having fun must come under special purposes. And therefore, for the same reason, the justices in the lower court were quite correct in fact and in law when they dismissed the case against Mr. Haddock, even if they did so for quite the wrong reasons. Now, my brother Shrimp, have you anything to add to that? You haven't, have you?
No, I concur.
You concur, that's right. Appeal dismissed.
Come on, drink up. No, not tonight, Constable. What you see now is Greenwich Mean Time. You must come back later. Or better still, why don't you stay and join us for the drink?
Oh, thank you very much.
Good luck.
Ladies and gentlemen, the toast is the freeman of the borough.
The freeman of the borough!
He's a jolly good fellow. He's a jolly good fellow.
He's a jolly good fellow!
That was the concluding program from this series of Misleading Cases.